Greetings, geeks. This is episode 566 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda, and today we're probably going to talk about dire wolves and Miss Meisel. So let's do that with Chris DeBona.
Hi.
And Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
The top story on my list right now is about dire wolves. I didn't even read it. I just saw that it was about dire wolves, and I felt like I should share that just so that Rob has access to a story about dire wolves.
Rob, are you super into dire wolves?
I actually read the paper earlier this week. So yeah.
So tell us.
Tell us things like, did they really have such uniform coats like this?
They're thinking maybe. They're unlike.
I can't share individual. So frustrating. All right, keep going.
For a long time, they assumed that they were an offshoot of gray wolves because they are so similar physiologically. But it turns out their closest relative, I think it was striped jackals, and they were a species of canid that evolved on their own in North America. And what's the weirdest part to me was they didn't find any evidence of genetic drift in the species. So like wolves oftentimes breed amongst different types of wolves. Wolves will be coyotes, and they didn't find that with dire wolves at all. So that was kind of interesting.
Did they have to update the tables in DMG?
Yeah, right. Well, they probably should, because dire wolves, in actuality, like the average size dire wolf isn't any bigger than a really big gray wolf. They're like the size of my biggest Newfoundland.
Let's talk about how big wolves are. So this is a video I found on the book. That's a wolf today in Yellowstone, right?
150 to 170. That's like the top end of great wolves.
I mean, this is a big, mean animal, right? So if a dire wolf is bigger, I mean,
dire wolves just a tad bigger. Mostly they're just more robust. They have bigger dentation for smashing bones, that sort of thing. Kind of the same way Smilodons aren't any bigger than Siberian tigers.
Funny story. It's not because they're smiling.
Well, kind of is. They could open their mouths up to 180 degrees. So that's kind of a big smile.
That is,
They're the happiest of creatures.
It's your last smile. Yeah.
That's what you see going down. Oh, wow.
All right.
My outside light, it's snowing very hard here, Rob. The outside light, it is almost dusk in how dim it just got here. So I guess you probably had this an hour ago. And in your orbital flight path.
Yes, because we're in orbit.
Because we're in orbit. Can't you tell by my Legos? So I haven't actually seen a lot about the Lord of the Rings TV show that Amazon has been working on. This is the first update I've seen on it in quite a while. But they got a synopsis, who's involved. It looks like it's going to be the Sauron story of making the rings and the fall of man. It looks like that's where they're centraling the story, and it looks like Sauron's going to be a character.
I think they should have gone the other way and had it be a sequel and called it Samwise Loves Rosie. Like Rosie Loves Chachi kind of thing.
Sure.
Or, that's where we should have gone with this. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting, I guess. I'm not big into prequels. And knowing the Tolkien family, I'm surprised they're allowing this to go forward in this way. But
this one's authorized.
Yeah. No, it's definitely authorized. I think like the main person who was interacting over the story died in the Tolkien family. Yeah. So I think we're going to get the science fiction Lord of the Rings. We're going to get the cosplay furry Lord of the Rings. We'll have a huge brand expansion, and then we'll have baby Samwise, baby Frodo, being rescued by a ring wraith that has decided that he can't continue his life of evil.
Yeah. Well, I think almost everything they put out since Lord of the Rings has been quote unquote a prequel.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
The Hobbit is a prequel. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I've read the Silmarillion. I haven't read all of the prequel stuff because they put out like 5 or 6 books, but posthumously set, before and after this. So I wish that they had a person who was like the keeper of the torch for the lore. I think that what we've seen with the Mandalorian is that Dave Filoni gets to carry the torch, and I think that that's generally working. And I think if you look at Star Trek, you can clearly see that literally nobody is carrying the torch. You've got Alex Kurtzman, and you've got who's Roddenberry's kid. But like
Rod. But Rod can't stand so many of those people, and he has a hard time having any influence because the property is completely owned by Paramount, Viacom, that whole weirdness. And then J.J. Abrams ended up picking up rights to, not just the Kelvin timeline, but a huge amount of things. I mean, there's a reason why the Discovery ship looks like it does, right? They were not literally allowed to have a Galaxy-style starship, and it's just...
I think the problem they're going to run into is I think they treat the lore in Lord of the Rings kind of like a genealogy project instead of a family reunion, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's hard to care a whole lot because there's just so much information and strange names to pronounce, right?
I mean, but again, this could be exactly the right setting, right? Because what we didn't get from Game of Thrones was we didn't get closure because they had to invent the last quarter of the story because it didn't exist. This story, I mean, where the story goes, so you at least know what the big themes are and the big actions. Right. I don't know how detailed the prequel books that exist, how detailed that is, because the Silmarillion would not make a good TV show, but it would give you, a half a dozen characters that you could probably play with, and if you could do it consistently and care, wouldn't it be great if somebody made something that they cared about? Anyway. So we also have the Toto's wellness toilet, which I just shared because I want to... I like the idea. I like this idea a lot.
It has been a while since we talked about poop on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if... can you get that picture up? Because it's just... I actually was kind of... It's weird.
I'll figure something out.
You poop in a little container, and then I guess it tells you stuff about your poo. Pretty excited about that.
Like, is it like the bucket bonanza? Like, do you have to aim for the container, or is it pretty reasonable that it would land in the container?
Yeah, there it is.
It's just a toilet picture.
That's not a toilet, though, is it? That looks like... I can't tell. Maybe there's a scale problem. That just looks like you're pooping in a little bucket.
No. So the Toto Neo Rest...
Oh, that's a toilet?
But
yeah.
What did you think was... It's Toto. It's not the band.
It looks like a bucket. Okay, it's a scale problem.
Sing an Africa to you and see how you poop.
It looks like a Canopicus jar. What's the
Egypt jar?
A fancy ice bucket.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Wait a second.
Ashes in.
Rosebum, stop. Yeah. Malda, do you think this is a canopic jar? Is that what you said?
That was the size.
Am I expected to put my liver and intestines in it and my heart when I die so that my servants and I can succeed in the afterlife?
Absolutely.
What about Toto says Egyptian pyramid burial?
Okay, look at that photo without looking at that logo and without knowing
Okay. Take away the background with all the toilet pictures.
No, it's the blur of the photos behind it. It's got a depth of field problem. To my eyes, I perceive that object as being small.
And to be fair, 2 of the pictures are of people running, an activity I rarely do while I'm pooping.
No, Rob. They have the runs. That's what that is.
A visual pun, I get it.
Yeah.
And mask is an allusion to toilet paper.
We actually have like 3 or 4 different stories that are in general.
I'm sorry, I'm not done talking about toilets.
All right, so, because the next story is about chastity belts, so I don't know if you want to like rush through the poo to get to the wang.
That's a very funny story. We're going to be talking about that story.
It's funny because we talked about the exploit months ago. Do you remember when we were talking about this? And it finally happened. So anyway, I'm sorry. Continue on your water closet story.
Poo.
Yeah. It's the loo. So the I don't know. I love my Toto Nearest 700H. I have to recommend whatever Toto wants to do with my butt. I'm there for it.
You're all in. You're on Team Toto.
I'm on Team Toto. I'm sitting on one right now. No, I'm kidding.
That's not.
No.
I mean, you could be. You could be.
It could be, but maybe they sell them in green, you know? Okay, well, let's talk about chastity belts.
It happened.
It happened.
It turns out.
Who could have seen it coming?
It turns out. Okay, but there is a metaphor for this because we all.
They really pulled the boner.
Yeah, the story is that you could purchase a chastity belt, and then it's internet enabled, so that I guess your partner,
your submissive thing.
Your partner could like control your chastity belt, and as we all know, when you put something on the internet, eventually it gets cracked. And in this case, the cracking is your junk, and you no longer have access to it.
Yeah. Thank God it's not airtight, right? Otherwise, that could be deadly.
Well, yeah. Well, so here's the thing. Here's the question. At what point in your descent into an odd sexual subculture do you say, you know what the good idea is? To plug my genitals into my Wi-Fi router. You know, like when do you say, you know what, I'm going to let the internet decide when I can engage in sexual congress? You know, it's like there's a point where it's sort of not an IQ test, because IQ tests are BS, but it's maybe they shouldn't be allowed to vote anymore, you know, or drive a car or raise children.
In 1995, I think.
Check out the general channel a second for a great pun.
Oh, good. I'm here for puns.
Oh, all right. Theta Nil. There are openings in the penetration testing department. It's true. But you're going to fill that position? You're going to fill that hole? That gap. That's the right word.
Oh, I have a really bad one. You know, there's the terminology of red team, blue team.
Yep.
Red team for a...
No.
I'm
all right.
stop.
So, I thought we weren't talking about Tenet anymore.
Right.
Yeah, this story cracks me up. So in 1995, I think, right around there, I had my first computer ever connected to the internet, and it had a static IP.
Thank you for saying computer. I thought this was going in a completely different way.
Yep. The computer that I had a static IP, and in 1995, to have a static IP in your dorm room was pretty friggin' big deal. And I just remember during that era doing all sorts of dumb things with the internet. Like, for example, at the easiest level, click here, type a message, and it would appear in my systems log, which I had, in a terminal window in the corner of my screen. And other things like turning my monitor on and off, or like interacting with me by clicking on webpage and letting strangers manipulate my desktop in some way. And there's been a lot of that over the years, like you can go to a web page and turn on a light and stuff. All of those were really just leading to this. And so I'm really glad that we finally got there. I'm good on whoever these guys are. I'm glad that my thing isn't wearing a chastity belt. That's not my thing. Let's see.
I'm going through firewall jokes. I'm going.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of potential here, and every one of those.
The man in the wireless mask. It's
turning it on and off.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
I think Nate gave us that Razer face mask. It's got RGB.
Oh, I love this face mask. I have to tell you. I would totally buy it. I mean, you look like when you wear the Project Hazel. They always have dumb projects. Well, the problem is it's got the mesh. I don't really like the mesh. Thing. It's not mesh. It's see-through plastic, right? So because it looks a little heavy, unlike Ben Heck's.
Oh yeah.
mask.
That thing would never work.
I don't think it would hold back the virus, but I don't know. It's Ben Heckman. I think this is very cool, but I don't think I'm good looking enough to pull it off. So they had to find a very attractive model to wear this thing.
See, I'm coming at it from the other direction. I am so beautiful that I don't want that RGB bringing me down.
Oh, okay. So the RGB is too crass for you.
Yeah. So I'm actually on an RGB thing right now, and not so intentionally, but it's sort of happening because my RAM. I put in new RAM, and I did I overnight load tested it. I did the pass mark or whatever all night on it. But the RAM I got, I shelled out the extra like $10 to get the RGB RAM. I'm like, I got a glass side on my case. I might as well shell out the extra $10 and get the lights. Have some fun with it. I need colorful joy in my life. It's making my computer look awesome. I don't really care. Mostly I wish my computer wouldn't crash. It still crashes. I can crash my computer every time by running Cinebench, turning on XMP and running Cinebench, and it's not my RAM. I've now tried 6 different sticks. It is not my RAM. Somebody, Ambaloo put in, we were talking about Commodore 64 in the channel yesterday, the nostalgia stuff, and he put up a record that has a Commodore 64 track on it, and you can load software off modern vinyl, which is pretty neat. There's a couple of stories like that. There was a Christian rock band that had like cassette tape that came out that had like a Commodore 64 program on it, and that was like contemporaneous, like with the system. And there's a couple of video clips on that too. There's a lot of the C64 was a platform that got loved, man.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing that kind of, and this is the thing that I was tweeting about and talking about in general yesterday, is that the Commodore 64 kids, there were millions of them, and their boxes all basically looked the same. The PC kids had Packard Bells, and they had Compacts,
and Dell, and
IBM. I just had a generic. My computer had no brand.
It didn't even have the little sticker and the little square.
It had nothing. It was £1,000, and it was a 286, and it had a hard drive in it, so I was cool. But like the PC kids, and it's weird that when you go on the internet, we're talking about Ben Heck, and you talk about LGR and stuff, and those guys, they tend, when they're actually like recapping and really loving on old hardware, they're loving on the Commodore 64s, they're loving on the with the Spectrums. They're love, because those,
if they're Europeans, they're loving on the Atari ST.
For sure.
Same thing.
Amiga 500, Amiga 1000. There's like a dozen of these platforms that they get all the love. PCs, like for the PCs, we don't care about the physical object. We like the software, but we don't care about the physical object. But the Commodore 64, the Amiga people, they love the object. Their object is the thing. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about that lately.
I think it was also it was a casted difference for a long time. An IBM PC was like $5,500 when you were done speccing it out, up until the 286 world, right? So it's like, these were not cheap machines. Commodore 64 could be had for $400 or $500, $300. It's like these were accessible computing. And they came with BASIC, so did the PC, but, they both came with BASIC, and it was, you were right into the interface, it's like you were programming BASIC from the get-go. There was no, DOS, there was no intervening experience. It was great,
Yeah. No, I don't know. I spend a non-trivial amount of my time watching stuff about technology from the 80s. And it's just, there's a divide there, and it's one of those unintentional consequences things that you don't really see until decades later, when you see the influence. We had like 2 or 3 other things that.
We did.
Oh, there was a rip. I just did post up the Theta Nil posted Ripley, which is from, it's a loader. I'm trying to see what it is. Oh, it's a GTA reference. There's a vehicle in GTA that's named Ripley.
And it's a mech loader?
No, it's a truck. All right, that's not really as interesting as I'd hoped it would be. Don't bother. Good job, Theta Nil.
Now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Ambaloo's posted who Control Alt Res. I don't know that. Oh, good. You might have found me a new YouTuber. Goodbye today.
Wow, that guy's overclocking by 3 megahertz. That's amazing.
Ooh, I can't even.
5150 PC with 7.1516 megahertz overclock, EGA and Ethernet.
That's weird.
Whoa, dude.
I think my dad still has my XT, but their basement flooded, or my 286. Their basement flooded a couple of years ago, and I think it was in the floods. So I think it's going to be forever lost.
Yeah. We got a IBM PC from the local computer store, and that was after I had messed with an HP calculator with BASIC on it.
Mm-hmm.
And after I'd messed with an Atari 400, and it was like, yeah, this is terrible. But yeah.
Oh, sorry, Theta Nil. We'll blame Nate for that bad Ripley vehicle.
Yeah.
The first 2 computers that I used regularly were XTs that my dad would bring home from work on weekends. So because he used spreadsheets as part of his day job or his job at that time of his life. So he'd do his spreadsheets, and then I'd fight him so I could play Alley Cat and Monopoly or King's Quest or something. Let's see. I'm gonna watch that video as soon as this is done. I'm excited about that. I thought we had one more story in the admin channel that I didn't get. Oh, the helmet for dentist appointments. Oh God, that's from you, Rob.
Yeah, I'd just rather my teeth fall out and then have to wear that helmet. I mean,
I'm pasting the URL into Reddit now.
I have a hard enough time with the bite blocks. I mean, when they had to redo my crown recently, I had that bite block in my mouth for like 2.5 hours, literally. And that's just excruciating. I can't imagine being locked up in that little face globe, that little fish bowl over my head.
Oh, that goes over your head, the patient's head? Oh.
Yeah.
I thought that was supposed to go over the dentist. Why would it go over the dentist? Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. And then he operates, or he does whatever he's going to do, or she does whatever she's going to do through that little opening in the front.
I don't really see how that helps.
Let's see if we can project this. Where's this thing at?
I put it on the Reddit, but it's also like 2 links back in the host coordination channel before the Mars Digger.
All right, let me get it. Yeah, because I remember you doing this. I've been to the dentist since COVID started, so let's see.
I really need to. I haven't. I've had 1 haircut and no dentist appointments in 10 months. I don't like that. See, you were naysaying the bite blocker, Rob. I feel like that's the difference between me being able to just fall asleep at the dentist or not.
It's okay if they're doing it on front teeth, but this is one of my rear molars. So they have to jam that thing all the way back, and you start to cramp after a little while.
Okay, so I would put this thing on, and then the dentist goes to town, and it's got this positive pressure environment going on. Okay, I get it.
See, I would have a panic attack even if it was transparent. I think my claustrophobia would probably wreck me here.
Also, I'm fairly sure my gigantic head would not fit into this thing.
They gotta make.
I would be in there, and my nose would be smashed against it, and it'd be like, "Well, we have to use this." And I'm like, "All right, can we take it off for about 20 minutes?" What's wrong with the good old dental dam that you always put on? What's wrong with that?
First of all, why are they throwing macaroni at this poor mannequin?
What do you do on Fridays?
Yeah, you don't want someone else's macaroni in your mouth.
Need macaroni pictures.
I have to shield myself from flying macaroni. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah, well,
It happens more in Italy.
People laugh, but Italy was the initial hotspot of COVID-19 because of the macaroni.
Are used for implying that rigatoni might transmit COVID 5G?
No, it's all the pastas, the angel hairs.
Oh.
This explains the Bucatini shortage in the United States because the Italians. No, so there's a Bucatini shortage in the United States because one of the other members of Big Macaroni came down.
Big Noodle.
No, seriously,
it's got to be Big. No, it's got to be Big Noodle.
It's amazing. Here, let me bring Bucatini.
What do you mean, Mr. Noodle?
Yeah. So this is I would actually like you to put this in Taco Zone.
Paste it into general or hosts and.
So there's a Bucatini shortage going on because one member of Big Macaroni decided to come down on some of the other members because it was missing some fortification. And apparently Bucatini's been very popular because people have been using them as straws.
Oh, sure.
When they can't use plastic straws.
All right.
You know, and you know they're about straw width, but they have a thick wall.
Yeah.
But it does let water go in the middle, so you have a really nice al dente pasta. So what I'm saying is there must be a connection between the Bucatini shortage and COVID 5Gs. So, yeah.
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical, okay. But I am a natural born skeptic, Chris. You got to show me the science.
I'll show you the science. That's. I'll have you do the reading, and then we'll discuss. You know, so.
I feel like Big Pasta should fight the people in charge of Canada's strategic maple reserve to see who rules the food empire, the global food empire.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put my money on Big Noodle because I feel like
it's literally called Big Macaroni in the article. Just for the record.
It should be called Big Mac. Would be pretty funny too. But I feel like they're more traditionally associated with organized crime, right? Like you've got your godfathers and such eating your spaghettis in your restaurants, so it makes sense that they would.
Very offensive to Italians, Rob. Just to let you know,
Chris, is that offensive to Italians?
Nah, we're used to being called a bunch of spaghetti eating,
And in this case, I'm specifically referring to like all of those movies where they're eating spaghetti. Like that's a thing.
Well, we're proud of our spaghetti. We're proud of our sauce. We're like that scene in Goodfellas where they're using a razor blade to cut the garlic. It doesn't make any sense, but it's great. I'm all there for it.
He used too much garlic for my taste, but it still was a good sauce, as the line goes.
That's the line. But,
Did you know that years ago, Jay Sir Marco gave me his family's pasta sauce and his recipe, and I have in my binder of recipes Jay Sir Marco's lawyer sauce is what I called it. And I'm not allowed to make Jay Sir Marco's lawyer sauce because there's something about it that my wife doesn't care about. I'm not sure if it's the name or if it's an ingredient. Wow. But I'm not supposed to make Jay Sir Marco's lawyer sauce, but I do love saying it.
Maybe you should wrap it in that chastity belt.
That's true. Sit down, eat my COVID 5G rigatoni with my Jay Sir Marco lawyer sauce, and I can watch WandaVision.
Be like, hey, can I get another spoonful of that lawyer sauce? I'm caught in my chastity belt.
Not another bite for you until you lock your chastity belt and give me the password.
Well, y'all are killing me.
You got to be really careful entering the PIN.
We're punchy today, ain't we?
I'm so tired.
Oh, no. I've entered my password wrong twice already.
That means it's got to reformat.
I'll wait till tomorrow.
Every time you enter it wrong, it extends. If you enter this password the third time wrong, you're going to have to wait 3 days.
You don't want to be locked out.
Take it back to support.
The hard part is the two-factor authentication.
You got to find a friend and dock.
Well, you got number 1 and number 2. And
it's weird that the keypad is on the bottom, right? So you have to have a mirror to hit the code.
probably should stop the stream before we get in trouble.
Just take a little hand mirror, really take a good look at it.
Taint lock.
Taint no trouble.
Taint no intrusion. Oh, goodbye, Christopher.
Goodbye, Rob Malta.
Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye from the ditch where we ended up.
Goodbye, Geeks in Space listener. I hope you made it this long because it was worth it. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malta. Bye.